Okay, today we are going to do the tutorial on how to use TinkerCAD. So once you have managed to log into TinkerCAD, I want you to go to the top left where it says Create New Design. Now once that's finished loading, this is like the screen you will see. There is a big blue checkered place here which is known as the Workspace, or you'll probably often hear me referring to also as the platform. If you hold down your right mouse button, you can move the platform around so that you can see objects that are placed on it. Now each of these big blue squares is 1 centimeter. Each of the tiny little squares is 1 millimeter. We can see that because down the bottom here it says that our unit of measurement is millimeters. If you hit this edit grid, you can change the width and the length, so decide how big you want that workspace to be. You can also change the units, but obviously millimeters is the best for us. If you were in America, you'd probably choose inches. But since we use millimeters, we're going to stay with that. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to have a look over here. So we have this drop-down menu which shows all the different shapes. So the common one we're probably going to use is the basic shapes. So you'll see like there's the box and the cylinder. You'll notice that above there's another box and a cylinder, but they look different. The reason is these ones here are solid shapes and these ones here are holes. The other things you might find here are scribbles and text. Now scribble, if I drag that across, to put something on the platform, all I have to do is I hold the left mouse button and then drag it across. A scribble pops up like this, so maybe I want to draw a fish. Now if I leave my fish like that, it is an outline. If I want it to be a solid object, I have to colour this all in. It takes a little while, but eventually you'll get it done. So once I have coloured in all of my my object, you'll see that it will start to look different when I take my mouse button off. There you go. And if I'm happy with that shape, then I can go down here and click Done. If I'm not happy with it, then I can erase it, and I can also use pre-drawn shapes, etc. If I want to undo the whole thing, I can hit the back button. So once we do done, it appears on the workspace. Now the other thing you can drag, so holding the left button down, pull it across, is text. Now it says text, and just say you wanted it to say hello. If you have a look over here on this menu, this drop down, here's the text. So if I put my mouse in there and click, I can actually delete that and write the word, oops, hello. See, the text here has changed. I can also choose different types of font. I can decide if I want it to be a solid word or if I want it to be a hole that I want to cut into something. You can adjust the height, the bevel, and the segments. So you can do all of those things. Now going back to basics, I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to drag a box across. Once the box is onto the platform, I can then look at changing the dimensions. So just say I want this box to be bigger. If I wanted to do it in a rough hand way, I can see these, how you've got these white bits on each of the corners. When I toggle over them, they tell me what the measurements are. So it says 20, so that's 20 mil, which is 2 centimeters. If I click on this and drag it, I can change the shape or the size. If, however, I want to be exact, an easy way of doing this, just say I wanted them to be 30, I click on here and I write 30. And I click on this one, this side, 30. You'll notice it's still not looking like a cube, so there's the top one not to forget either. So I click on that one, And now if I look around, you can see it's a cube. The other thing you can see when you're looking at your object is this little black cone-like object. What this is for raising or lowering objects onto the workspace. Now you can see on the right hand side where it says 3.0, that's actually telling you how far it is above the platform. See, I move it up, I move it down. When it's directly on there, that should be 0. Now that's an important thing to check, because if you submit an object like this, where you think it's on the platform, but actually it's got that 2 mil gap, what that means is it's floating. It's not attached to the bottom, to the ground. And it means it's going to fill all that bottom section in there with things that are called supports, and it's going to take a lot longer to print your object. So we always have objects resting on the platform, on the workspace. It's handy to be able to move these up and down, because maybe I want to put a cylinder underneath that hole. Let's have a look how to do that. So I drag my cylinder across, and now I go back to my cube. You notice I click off and click on again. It's just easier to do that to make sure you're not accidentally selecting something, and then you're going to end up moving it or changing the shape. So now I'm going to lift it up and I'm going to drag it across. Now see, if I look at it like this way, it looks like they're sitting on each other, but if I tilt down, I can see it actually is not sitting on it at all. Now I put it on top. Now if I wanted these objects to be joined, I would actually overlap them a little bit. If you wanted to check your overlap, a really good way to do that is if you get your mouse and you select both of the objects, so by drawing that little box around, see here it says solid, click on that, and then down the bottom here is an option called transparent. It allows you to see through, so I can actually see how much my cylinder is overlapping inside, to make sure that it's not going to be like just only sitting on there a little bit and it's going to crack when I print it. Once I'm happy with where the object is, I can click back on here and turn the transparent off. Now when I print things, I want those two objects to be joined together. So what I have to do is I have to group them. So if I highlight those two and I go here to the top right, I can choose group. Watch what happens to the colour. See, they've gone the same colour, and now if I move them, they move together. Now if I wanted to see the two different colours, when you print, remember it's not going to print in two different colours, or just print in one, whichever colour you choose. When I print, if I wanted to make them look fancier on here, I can click here and I can go down here and I can choose multicolour. Now they are the original colours of what they were, but they are still grouped. If I would like a second one to look exactly the same, I can click on group, and over here there is the option to duplicate. Now you can't see it. Where's it gone? If I click off here and drag, there it is. It often puts it straight over the top, right? Now the other thing you might want to do is maybe you don't want the cylinder at the bottom. Maybe you actually want it at the top. So you can see on our shape we have these little black arrows with a compass. They are actually allowing us to rotate the object. So you can rotate it by hand, just by dragging it around. But you'll notice that it's really hard to get it exact sometimes. And sometimes you'll click and it'll be in a place where it's just difficult to grab it. So another way to do it would be if you click on the compass and see there's this number at the top. Just say I want to rotate it 180 degrees, so that is at the bottom. I type in 180 and press the enter button on my keyboard. It has now flipped it over. Now I might also decide that I want a hole. Remember I mentioned holes earlier. So I grab a cylinder and I pull it across. I want it to go right through the middle there, so I'm going to want this to be a bit smaller. So I'm going to make it say 10. So remember, I'm going to click on the other ones, find out where are the other objects that are Where are the other ones that are smaller? But lengthwise, I want it to be longer, so I'm going to make it 40. Now I want it to go through horizontally. So as it is, it's not going the right direction. So I'm going to rotate it by about 90 degrees. Now it is facing the right way. I'm now going to drag that through more or less the center. I'm going to try and push it through so that it appears the other side. I'll check once I've got it where I want. I'm going to highlight again all three of these shapes. Now can you see here the fish has been highlighted too? I don't want that one to be grouped, so I'm going to take that off. And I'm going to try again, and now only these objects are highlighted. That's what I wanted. So if I go up here and I hit group, you'll see now the hole actually goes the whole way through. If, for example, you didn't want these objects to be grouped anymore, you can go up the top here, and there is the option to ungroup, which is Control Shift G. If I do that, these will now move independently of each other. Just say I moved it and I didn't mean to move it, you also have up here, see there's the undo button, Control Z. So you can use that to move things back where they need to go. So you can group and ungroup as you wish. So that covers most of the basic things about dragging and putting things on, and how to resize them, how to rotate them, how to use holes, etc. Don't forget, when you send a finished product, all of the objects that you want to print together must be grouped. Otherwise, some of the slicing software will actually only just print the bottom object and won't print whatever the top thing is. If you have any questions, oh, before I end up, I forgot to tell you how to save, didn't I? If I go back over here, have a look. It always gives you like some sort of crazy name. So I'm going to rename mine tutorial. And I'm going to, because I'm nearly finished with this, I'm just going to have a look at one more thing. So if this was my finished product, I could choose to export it. That means I'm going to send it, download it. If I go to export, the sort that you want is this one here, this file, the .stl. You also have two choices. So you can do everything on the design, which would mean it'd print all of those stuff there, or maybe you just want a selected one, so maybe you only want one thing to print. So you can choose that and choose which one. But generally you're going to go everything in the design. So you would then choose STL, and see down here, it says, there it is, it has downloaded it. If you want to find out where it has put it, because you can't find it, then usually you can click down here, and if you say show in folder, it will show you where. So if I look up here, it tells me that it has gone onto my desktop, so I can go and find it there. You can then email that file to me to look at. Don't forget, you can also send me an email message to let me know that you've finished, and I can actually log into your TinkerCAD accounts and have a look at your stuff from there. Now when you're finished and you are ready to exit this program, the best way to make sure things have been saved is if you click up here in the top left, which is the TinkerCAD dashboard. When I click it, have a look down here, saving your work. If you exit using this, then you know it has been saved. If you have any questions, then don't forget you can always email me, or you can add comments in our chat room or on the discussion board. Have fun tinkering.